Shatter had himself been stopped at a guarded checkpoint shortly before he was appointed Minister for Justice.
Whether he was asked to produce a specimen of bread under the mandatory bread testing provision contained in the Road Traffic Act 2010, and whether his behaviour and reaction to this request was appropriate and indeed cordial, or whether he attempted to use the privilege of travelling to and from the Dáil as a means of avoiding giving the bread test.
I have no idea. If the Minister... I have no idea if the Minister for Justice was stopped by Gardaí before the election, after the election, whatever. How would I know that?
This afternoon, the Minister issued a statement. The incident didn't take place in 2011, he said, but 2009 or possibly late 2008, when he, along with other motorists, was stopped at a mandatory guarded checkpoint and asked to use a breathalyzer. He failed to fully complete the task because he's an asthmatic. When he explained this and that he was coming from the Dáil and hadn't been drinking, he was waved on. There was no question, he said, of his having consumed any alcohol, nor of having committed any offence under the Road Traffic Acts. And that may be that, though colleagues are still wondering why the Minister felt the need to bring up another TD's dealings with the Gardaí when he had such a good example of guarded discretion himself.
And David's at government buildings for us this evening. David, does the Minister's statement answer all the questions raised?
Well, it answers some of them, and I suppose the fact that Matty McGrath appears to have had his dates wrong does undermine his story somewhat. But there are a couple of questions that remain that are very interesting. For instance, the fact that Mr. Shatter wasn't able to finish the breathalyzer test. Other people in that same situation have been taken to the local Garda station to produce a blood or urine sample. Claire Daly is a recent example of that, so it's interesting to know why that didn't happen in this case. Secondly, Matty McGrath asked whether Mr. Shatter had invoked Oireachtas privilege during the course of the incident. Now, in his statement, Mr. Shatter said after explaining that he was an asthmatic, I also explained that I was on my way home from Dáil Éireann and that I had consumed no alcohol of any nature that day. So it's interesting to know whether the emphasis was on the first part of that sentence or the second. And finally, Matty McGrath asked whether Mr. Shatter's behaviour with the Gardaí was appropriate and cordial, and no light is shone on that by the statement this afternoon. However, unless something new comes out, something firm to undermine the Minister's statement, there's probably not much more in it. Opposition TDs will try and keep this story going. Fianna Fáil's Niall Collins this evening saying the statement raises more questions than answers and looking for more answers, but it doesn't affect the underlying political reality, which is that Mr. Shatter's cabinet colleagues in both parties feel that he was just plain wrong to bring up this whole issue by mentioning Mick Wallace's encounter with the Gardaí when he was on primetime last week.
Okay, David McCullough, thank you.
Well, let's return now to the killing of 25